You have a garden bed that used to grow well, and somewhere along the way, it stopped. The soil has gone hard, it crusts over after rain, water sits on top instead of soaking in. The plants you put there come up weak, or they come up and then stall, or they just sit there looking tired no matter what you pour on them. And you have started to wonder if the soil is beyond saving. You have heard people say soil can die, and looking at that bed, you believe it. I want you to hold that thought for a moment, because there is a $3 liquid that gardeners all over the world make from plants and sugar. It is cheap, it's strange, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what it is and how to make it. That liquid is real. You can make it this week. But here's what nobody tells you. The liquid only works if you understand the soil it is going into. Otherwise, you're pouring it into a broken system and expecting a miracle. So before I show you the liquid, I need to show you the system, and once you see it, the liquid will make perfect sense. Welcome to Grow Simple. Here, gardening is made easy, practical, and stress-free, whether you have a backyard, a balcony, or just a few pots. And today, we are looking at what tired soil actually needs. Not a quick fix, not a miracle bottle, a system, and the liquid that fits inside it. Let's get to it. When gardeners say their soil is dead, they usually mean something specific. The ground is hard, it crusts over after rain. Water pools on top and runs off instead of soaking down. The plants look weak, or they grow slowly, or they just never seem to thrive. And that feels like death. But the truth is, most garden soil is not literally dead. It's degraded. And degraded soil is usually missing a few very specific things: organic matter, living roots, soil cover, biological activity, structure that lets air and water move through. Think of it this way. Soil is not just ground-up rock, it's a system. It holds minerals and water and air and organic matter and billions of living organisms, all interacting. And when that system breaks down, the soil stops behaving like soil. It starts behaving like dirt. And here's what matters. You can rebuild it, not with one product, with a set of practices that feed the system. There are 6 things worth knowing. 5 of them are habits. The 6th one is that $3 liquid. Let me show you the 5 habits first, because without them, the liquid does almost nothing. Number 1, organic matter. Let's start with the foundation. Before we get to that $3 liquid, you need to understand the thing it cannot replace, and that thing is organic matter. Organic matter is the dark, soft, crumbly material that comes from things that were once alive. Compost, rotted leaves, well-aged manure. It does more for soil than almost anything else you can add. It improves structure so the soil holds together without turning to brick. It increases water holding capacity so the ground stays moist longer after you water. It improves drainage in heavy soil and helps sandy soil hold on to nutrients. It feeds the organisms that live in the soil, and it releases nutrients slowly over time. The important thing to understand is that compost is not a quick fertilizer. It's a soil amendment. It works by changing the environment in the soil, not by giving plants one fast hit of nitrogen. That's why a bed that gets a layer of compost every season gets better year after year.
And the best part is that you can make compost yourself from things you are going to throw away. Kitchen scraps, garden trimmings, fallen leaves, all of it can go into a pile, break down over time, and come out the other side as the best soil amendment money cannot buy. Even a small compost bin in the corner of a balcony or backyard is enough to make a real difference. A handful of finished compost worked into the top few inches of a tired bed is one of the most powerful things you can do for your garden. The first practice is simple. Get organic matter into your soil. Spread finished compost over the bed before planting. Work a little into the top few inches if you need to. Do it every season and watch what happens. The soil will respond. Number 2, mulch. Bare soil is exposed soil. It bakes in the sun. It takes the full force of every rain. It crusts over. It loses moisture. It erodes. Mulch is a protective layer between the soil and everything else. Straw, leaves, wood chips, grass clippings used carefully, even compost itself. A layer of mulch about 2 to 4 inches deep over a garden bed does several things at once. It slows evaporation so the soil stays moist longer after you water. It moderates temperature so the roots do not cook in summer and the soil does not freeze as hard in winter. It suppresses weeds, which compete with your plants for water and nutrients. It reduces erosion and crusting so the soil surface stays soft and open instead of sealing over. And as it breaks down, it adds organic matter to the soil beneath. But here's the nuance. Not every mulch is right for every situation. Wood chips are excellent around trees and shrubs. They last a long time and look tidy. But a fine vegetable seed bed might do better with a thinner layer of compost or straw because those break down faster and do not tie up nitrogen the way fresh wood chips can. Grass clippings can mat down and block oxygen if you pile them too thick. And no matter what mulch you use, keep it pulled back from the stems of your plants. A mulch pile pressed against a stem holds moisture against the plant and invites rot. The point is not that mulch is magic. The point is that bare soil is vulnerable soil. Exposed soil loses moisture faster, it heats up harder, it crusts over easier, and every one of those problems makes it harder for your plants to thrive. Cover it. Number 3. Living roots. Here's something most gardeners never think about. Plants don't just take from the soil, they give back to it. The area around a plant's roots is called the rhizosphere, and it's one of the most biologically active places on Earth. Roots release compounds into the soil, sugars, organic acids, and other materials, and those compounds feed the bacteria and fungi that live around the roots. That's not a weakness, that's a partnership. The plant feeds the microbes, and the microbes help cycle nutrients and make them available to the plant. That means a living root is not just sitting in the soil, it's actively participating in the soil food web. The root is not a straw sucking nutrients out of the ground. It's more like a trade post, exchanging carbon compounds for nutrients and water. And that exchange feeds the entire underground ecosystem.
And here is the practical application for your garden. Do not leave your beds bare when a crop finishes. Plant something else. Use succession planting, so one crop follows another. Sow a quick green like lettuce or arugula after you pull your beans. Grow a fall crop after your summer tomatoes are done. Put a cover crop in any bed that would otherwise sit empty. Anything that keeps roots in the ground is feeding the system. A garden bed that sits empty all winter is not resting, it is starving. The soil organisms that depend on root exudates for food have nothing to eat, and when spring comes, the system is weaker than it was in autumn. Keep roots in the ground as much as you can, and the soil will be stronger for it. Number 4, reduce unnecessary tillage. This is not a never dig your garden video. Tilling has its place. It can create a seed bed, loosen compacted soil, and incorporate amendments. But repeated, intensive tillage has a cost. It breaks apart soil aggregates, the small clumps that give soil its structure. Those aggregates are what create the pore spaces that let air and water move through the soil. When they're destroyed, the soil collapses into smaller particles that pack together tightly. That is how you get compaction and crusting. Tillage also disturbs the communities of bacteria and fungi that hold soil together and cycle nutrients. And over time, repeated disturbance can leave the soil more prone to erosion and less able to support healthy plants. The key word is unnecessary. For a home garden, the advice is simple. Disturb only what you need to. Do not dig the whole bed if you are planting a single row. Use hand tools where practical. A trowel or a broad fork can do most of what a tiller does without the same level of destruction. Add compost and mulch instead of constantly turning the soil. And over time, reduce how much you dig. Think of it this way. Every time you dig, you are resetting the clock on the soil's recovery. One deep dig to prepare a new bed is fine. Repeatedly turning the same soil season after season is not. Give the soil time to build its own structure, and it will do a better job than any tool you own. Your soil will thank you, and your back will too.
Number 5. Cover crops. Cover crops tie everything together. They keep the soil covered, they keep living roots in the ground, they add organic matter when they break down, and they protect the soil during the times when you are not growing food. The idea is simple. When a bed is empty, plant something that is not for eating. Oats, rye, clover, turnips, radishes. The exact crop depends on your climate, your season, and what you plan to grow next, but the function is the same. The cover crop protects the soil, feeds the soil food web, and then gets cut down or turned in to become organic matter. Here's how it works. You sow the cover crop thickly, the way you would sow grass seed. It comes up fast and covers the soil in green. Above ground, it shades the soil and slows evaporation. Below ground, its roots are pushing through the soil, creating channels for air and water and feeding the microbes. When the crop has grown enough, you cut it down and either leave it on the surface as a mulch or work it lightly into the soil. Either way, it becomes organic matter. The roots that remain in the soil break down slowly, leaving behind channels and food for soil life. Think of it as a living mulch. A cover crop is not a waste of space. It is an investment in the next crop, and it's one of the cheapest, easiest ways to improve soil over time. A packet of cover crop seed costs a few dollars and can cover an entire bed. Number 6. Fermented plant juice. This is it. This is the $3 liquid from the beginning of this video. And now that you understand what soil actually needs, you are ready to see where this fits. The liquid is called Fermented Plant Juice, or FPJ for short. It comes from a set of practices known as Korean natural farming, and it is not a secret. The University of Hawaii has published guides on how to make it. Farmers around the world use it. The basic idea is simple. You take fresh, actively growing plant material, young leaves, shoots, fast-growing plants. You pack it with brown sugar and you let it ferment. The sugar draws the juices out of the plant material. Over the course of about 3 to 7 days, depending on temperature, the mixture breaks down into a dark liquid. That liquid is FPJ. Now, a few things you need to know before you make it. First, the container. Do not seal it tightly. Fermentation produces gas, and a sealed container can build pressure and burst. Second, the plant material. Use plants you know are safe, non-toxic, healthy, actively growing material. Young comfrey leaves are a common choice. Fast-growing weeds can work, but do not use unknown plants. Do not use diseased material, and do not assume every weed is safe. Third, the cost. The $3 figure depends on what you already have. If you have brown sugar in the kitchen and suitable plants growing nearby, you can make a small batch for a few dollars. It's cheap, not free, and not always exactly $3. So, what does FPJ actually do? Here's where we have to be honest. FPJ is used as a fermented plant input. Some studies have reported effects on plant growth, but it is not proof that FPJ can bring dead soil back to life, and anyone who tells you that is overstating it. FPJ is an input. Soil health is a system. A fermented plant extract cannot replace organic matter. It cannot rebuild soil structure. It cannot do the work of living roots or soil cover or biodiversity. And the University of Hawaii's own discussion of Korean natural farming notes that restoring depleted soil can take years, not one miraculous application. But here is what the liquid can do. It can give a struggling plant a boost. It can add a small piece to a system that is already on its way back. Give your soil organic matter. Keep it covered. Keep roots in the ground. Then the liquid becomes one more tool in a system that is already working. So the $3 liquid is not the secret. The system is the secret. And once you have the system, the liquid makes perfect sense. Now, why has nobody taught you the system? Because the system is slow. It takes seasons. It asks for patience, and patience does not sell. A bottle sells, a bag sells, a quick fix sells, but a bed that gets better every year because you fed it compost and kept it covered, nobody makes a cent telling you that. The money runs the other way. And that is why so many gardeners go looking for a bottle to fix their soil. They are not greedy. They are not foolish. They just never got taught the system. And a thing nobody has a reason to teach gets forgotten. But here is what experienced growers know. Soil is not a thing you fix. It's a thing you build, and the building never stops. So here is what I would like you to do. Tell me in the comments what your problem soil looks like right now. Is it hard and cracked? Does water sit on top? Are your plants struggling? Describe it. And if you have tried something before that did not work, tell me that too. I want to see what everyone is dealing with. Then, when you're done commenting, pick one thing from this video and do it this week. Add compost to one tired bed. Spread mulch over bare soil. Plant something that will put roots in the ground. Stop tilling a spot that doesn't need it. One thing, that's all. And if you decide to try the $3 liquid, do it responsibly. Use safe plant material. Do not seal the container. And remember that FPJ is a supplement, not a replacement for the basics. I read all the comments. I want to see what everyone is building. You started this video looking at a bed you thought was finished. Here's what I hope you see now. It was never finished. It was just waiting for you to understand it. And now you do.